I released a video last week with my attorney talking about my lawsuit, and I mentioned a GoFundMe that I started. So I am putting a link in the description below for a GoFundMe. This has been an incredibly challenging time in my life. I was surprised to see a lot of negative comments towards me, and I realized there was just some disconnect, and so I'm making this video to share everything about my income, my net worth, my expenses, everything, so that you have a better understanding of why I started a GoFundMe. I released this video where I interview my attorney who's defending me in a frivolous lawsuit against a fake guru. In that video, I shared how much I've spent so far. Important part, attorney's fees. I've spent $282,598.04. I am humbled that many of you think I'm incredibly wealthy and make insane amounts of money, but the truth is, I do not. Let's open up the books. I own 4 properties in Las Vegas. I have made a video on YouTube including the numbers to all of them, but let's do an update right now. I have a 7-bed house that generates $4,400 a month in rental income. I'd estimate I spend around $3,000 a month in total expenses, $1,400 a month in net cash flow from this property. I have a 6-bed house that generates $4,700 a month in rental income. Total expenses are around $4,000 a month for $700 a month net cash flow. I have a 6-bed house hack that I live in that generates $4,700 a month in rental income. Total expenses are around $4,500 for a net cash flow of $200. I have an Airbnb that generates between $5,000 to $9,000 revenue each month. The expenses vary, but let's estimate a net cash flow of around $1,000 per month on average. The cash flow of around $3,000 from rental income fully covers my living expenses, car, health insurance, food. I'm frugal, so my personal expenses are pretty low. I now have a course called House Hack King where I detail how I have successfully operated the rent-by-room model. I currently charge $297 for the course and have made 3 sales so far. Kajabi costs around $200 a month, and there were some expenses I incurred to make the course, so I'm currently in the red on the course despite some of you thinking I'm making millions. Maybe one day, but not yet. I'm a real estate agent. In 2022, I made $38,147 as an agent as side income. I bought 2 properties representing myself and had 2 nice size referral commissions. To date, in 2023, I've made $3,307 from referrals. I refer people to my broker and make a referral commission when they buy or sell a property. Referrals are nice, but not expected. It's a nice side income when it happens, but not something I rely on. I have equity in a company called OPM Mastery. These guys are local in Vegas, met them through friends, and I fully believe in them, which is why I am an equity partner in their business. They assist small business owners in acquiring business credit and would love to help you if you're interested. I am a small equity partner and make on average $800 to $1,000 a month in disbursements. I currently do not have any cash reserves. My guesstimate is a net worth of around $600,000. Now, let's talk YouTube. We'll begin with the year 2023 so far. I've made a whopping $17,401 in AdSense. Massive amounts of money. AdSense isn't so good so far this year. Gained some subscribers and 5 million views overall. Let's now look at the month of April. $3,541 on 1 million views. And the month of May so far, just under $2,300 on 1.2 million views. I started uploading shorts, and so that's why my views and subscribers jumped quite a bit, watch time jumped, and revenue jumped a little bit. And so I'm using shorts as a way to grow the channel. But here you can see that the AdSense is really not that much. Here's the P&L for my media company, $17,400 in AdSense. Sponsors have brought in $31,490. You can see why creators love sponsorships, because they're the lifeblood for a lot of creators. It's how we get paid in a lot of ways. Sold 3 courses, $891. And affiliate income, batch leads, and another item brought in $1,787 so far this year. And then you can see the expenses. The legal is obviously the big one. That's the one that's really hurt. I've spent almost $89,000 this year and have made $51,570. And so for my main channel, I'm under $37,000. That means I have spent more than $37,000. And I also want to point out that I'm not spending recklessly in any way. This isn't like some accounting trick where I went out and spent a bunch of money to show you that I'm actually operating at a loss. This is I have not been spending money unnecessarily in any ways. With the legal bills being what they have been, obviously I have to be very frugal and very conscientious of how I'm spending my money elsewhere. And so all of these expenses have gone directly into the content. I do have a second channel. I spent about $2,300 for content for that second channel. All in, I've spent $40,000 more than I've made this year. In my podcast with my attorney, we discussed at the end the potential outcomes for the case. In case you guys didn't catch that, we'll go over that now. We filed the final dispositive motion at the end of March, and we're expecting possibly 6 or more months until we hear a judge's ruling, which would put us somewhere September, October, November. And so the potential outcomes are essentially the judge is going to either dismiss the case or it goes to trial. In the event he dismisses the case, which obviously is the outcome we want, I'm anticipating the plaintiff appealing. If the plaintiff appeals, then we will have to go into appeals court. I anticipate it being costly. This was not a direct quote from my attorney. However, if there's one thing I've figured out about this process, it's that the attorneys will spend a lot of money litigating. And so $50,000 is a number I've heard. That's what I'd anticipate, just as a safe measure to anticipate the worst. If I win that, then I get paid. So that is the happy path. All of the money would come back to me if we are granted the anti-slap motion. So yes, it's going to be very costly to get to the finish line. However, if I do win and everything works out, then I would get the money back. The other potential outcome is the judge believing that we need to go to trial. I would be shocked if that happens and very disappointed, obviously, and we'd go to appeals court. With an anti-slap motion, we're granted the ability to appeal, which is going to be costly. And then the worst case scenario, if somehow the appellate court thinks we need to go to trial as well, which I would put the odds of this at so astronomically low. However, with legal fees, you need to prepare for the worst. And so if it ends up going to trial, we're talking an insane amount of money. And as you can see on the chart, the reason why I started the GoFundMe is for these three outcomes. If any of them happen, then it's going to be very costly and I'd have to spend money I don't have. Some of you may be wondering why AdSense is so low, and so I'll give you my thoughts and opinions here. RPM is down around 35% from last year. And so if all the variables were equal, my income would drop a little bit more than the third. I've been crazy burnt out for like 12 to 16 months. It's really difficult to make next level content whenever you're burnt out because that requires some creative risk. It requires a lot of effort to put into videos and to make different content that you're used to making, which is really challenging when you're struggling with mental health. Kills creativity when you're burnt out. Your mind isn't open for expansion, which is so necessary in this field. And then you don't have innovation. You're always wanting to create novel content in this world because content creation is so short term. You are only relevant for a couple of years at best. And if you can keep an audience engaged for like 1, 2, 3 years, that's incredible and amazing. And you need to always be innovating in order to grow and extend your career. And I just haven't been able to do that. Also, my views are down. Simply put, when views are down, you make less. The novelty of the niche wore off. I was incredibly lucky to grow in this trend wave, essentially, of like exposing these internet marketers, talking about unethical business practices. The audience clearly wanted it, and there weren't that many creators creating it. And so we filled the gap, and I was able to benefit. That novelty is worn off, and so you now need to make videos that have a little more novelty. Essentially, that means new. It's like a new story, like, oh, I haven't seen this before. If you look at a couple of videos that I put out recently, I did a video on Dan Bilzerian and Bradley Martin, lawsuits they're involved with. Those videos are performing just like they always have been on my channel. And so it's proof that like I can still pull the same views. The problem is I need to find stories that are that unique, and that becomes more challenging. Content creation is crazy competitive in 2023. There are so many amazing creators out there, and it's just gotten way more competitive. If you think about the landscape of content, there's so many eyeballs. However, those eyeballs are now spreading more thin with the advent of TikTok. You've got Instagram Reels, short form content starting to take over. There's so many amazing creators on YouTube. And so just as competition enters the marketplace, views will be spread out more. And a big reason why my views are down is my uploads are down 75%. I used to release 12 videos a month. Then I got down to about 8 to 10 videos a month, and now I'm down to 4. And so just by nature, if all other variables are equal, uploads being down 75% would probably mean at least a 75% reduction in views. In our last chart, we're going to talk about why exposing or uncovering bad business practices, fake gurus, why that isn't a good business model on YouTube. You're not building a brand. One of the best ways to monetize content is to have products or services on the back end, which is really hard to do if you're building a brand kind of exposing bad business practices. Some of the best creators on the platform right now on YouTube have awesome products and services on the back end that allows them to operate at a negative or break even on their content. Mr. Beast is a great example, Nelk Boys, Alex Hormozy. These creators can spend a lot of money making the best content they can make because they have something to sell on the back end. In this industry, we're kind of relying on AdSense, which is the second point, is that when you're relying on AdSense, it's incredibly unstable. AdSense is an up and down wave based on the economy, and it is incredibly unstable to rely on it, and it is not healthy to rely on it because you end up joining a hamster wheel. You jump on that hamster wheel and you can't leave. Any creators watching me right now will understand this feeling. When you're relying on AdSense, you got to produce, baby. You got to put out videos. Some people feel like if they don't put out 2 or 3 videos a week, then they are going to lose income. The numbers are going to drop. It is a mental hamster wheel that is so hard to be a part of. I've been on it, and it is so tough. And lastly, you're going to deal with a lot of headaches. You're constantly dealing with negative stuff. The mental health burden, at least on me, has been really, really challenging because you're sitting there consuming content about fraud, Ponzi schemes, people being damaged, people reaching out to you feeling they got scammed. So you're looking at all your research is seeing if there was a scam or if there was fraud. That at least for me, that is damaging to your mental health because it's all the content you consume and report on is all negative by nature. Now, that doesn't mean it's bad. I think it's good for all of us that are doing this. However, I can't deny that it is negative content. You also get pushback. There was a video I saw recently. There's Alex Edson's kind of a trending topic right now. Scott Schaefer made a video and he ended up getting like copyright striked on it. Like you're always dealing with that stuff. There's pushback from the people you're reporting on. Either, I get DMs or emails from people, and I've had maybe 2 or 3 instances where I made a kind of an ugly video about someone and they objectively prove me wrong, which is not fun. But you're also dealing with copyright strikes. You're dealing with threats of lawsuits. I mean, I'm obviously dealing with a lawsuit, so that could be the biggest one here is if you ever do get sued, it is a nightmare. But constantly dealing with the threat of a lawsuit is another negative. In summary, you don't make content in this niche for money. I was incredibly privileged to have a pop moment when AdSense was much better and the niche was trending, so I made decent money, but it's not what it was anymore. I made this video, 1, because I believe when you raise money, you need to be fully transparent about the funds, where they'll go, what they'll be used for, and why exactly you need the money, so hopefully I answer that here. And 2, because I'm hoping to help out creators in the future if they're dealing with something similar. I would love to start a fund called Slap Back that helps creators deal with frivolous lawsuits. I didn't want to mention it because I don't want to raise money on promises of something that I'm not 100% sure I'll be doing, because I literally call out people who do the same. So for now, I don't know what I'll do with any excess funds, assuming the best path happens and I get my money back. I'll probably make a video and ask everyone what's best use of money if that comes to be. I was actually very disheartened seeing all of the negative comments about me in the video. I delete negative comments now so none of you saw them, but there were way more than I anticipated. And to be honest, it's the most disrespected I've ever felt. I never wanted to raise money. In June 2021, everyone in my life told me to raise money. I didn't. I took this on the chin and wanted to handle it myself. I did. I've spent $282,000 so far. I've spent $40,000 more than I've earned in 2023 making content. I'm not rich. I depleted all of my money until I asked for help. That is also not even including all of the pressure and stress I've felt for a long time. I mean, we're talking like 12 to 16 months of me having to make content every single day so that I could pay my legal bills. As you've seen from all of the numbers, my income has dropped substantially, so the pressure has been immense. Took it all on the chin before asking for any help. So to then have people be ugly towards me in the comments was such a slap in the face. And wanting to see me fail in court would mean you're rooting for a fake guru to successfully silence criticism. Maybe you're forgetting, but I'm trying to help people avoid being financially damaged by these people. This is an incredibly important case for all creators, whether you like me or not. We do not want bullies to be able to leverage the legal system to silence criticism. It's costly and ruins lives, and I do not want any creator to experience what I went through. Thank you to everyone who has donated so far. You have no idea how appreciative I am for your help. We will win this. Thanks for watching.